first guest of the day is one of the premier writers for The Athletic, specifically focusing on college basketball. And our purpose here today is to figure out where BYU basketball fits into the Big 12 once they get there in July of 2023. His name is CJ Moore on BYUSN, making his debut here. CJ, how are you?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Fantastic. How has it been to cover back-to-back national championships with Baylor and Kansas in the Big 12?
It's been really cool. You know, I think that it's obviously the league that I cover more than any other. And I grew up on Big 8 basketball. So I think the league went a long while where tournament success, it would do really well in the regular season, be, you know, statistically by the metrics, one of the best leagues in college basketball, and didn't always have the much success. So to see that come through has been neat.
What do you think the chances are? You're talking about 3 in a row from the Big 12.
The odds are probably against them, right? Like, I don't think I doubt that's going to happen, but Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, maybe Texas, what they get, even TCU. I mean, I think all those teams will be in the national mix next year. And so maybe we'll see, but I wouldn't bet on it.
CJ Moore of The Athletic is on BYU Sports Nation. We're focusing on Big 12 basketball and now how BYU will integrate into that powerhouse conference. What do you expect from BYU and the 3 other teams in Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston? What do you expect from them once they get into the Big 12 and Texas and Oklahoma eventually leave? Will the conference be just as strong? What's your opinion on that?
I think it might be. You look at, let's just take Texas and Houston. Houston's ahead of Texas right now as far year to year, like the last 5 years. With Calvin Sampson, Houston's in a terrific spot. So even if that's a wash, and then you take Oklahoma and compare that, to me, you compare Oklahoma to BYU and Cincinnati, those 2 teams together, I think one of them will probably at least be on Oklahoma's level year to year. So really, you're getting probably a bottom feeder in Central Florida. If I had my choice, I probably would have taken Memphis as that last team, just because all I care about is basketball. I could give a crap about football. So I think the league's still going to be one of the top in college basketball, and I think as far as basketball is concerned, the league did pretty well in adding what it added. And to me, basketball schools, some schools are invested in basketball or not. But a lot of times, how good a basketball school is who's their coach. And I think Mark Pope, terrific coach. Calvin Sampson, terrific coach. And I think Wes Miller's a really up-and-coming, really good coach. So you're adding at least 3 really good coaches to the league there.
CJ, let's stay along those same lines. And this is a question we actually ask quite a bit in terms of college football, but on the college basketball side, how do you view BYU basketball from a national perspective?
Every couple of years or so, I think it's a team that can potentially make the second weekend of the tournament. Maybe the success hasn't always been there, but I think has had teams good enough to do that. I think they'll come in probably about in the pecking order, probably about middle of the pack. Some schools that have had some recent success in the Big 12, Kansas State, West Virginia, have kind of fallen off recently. I think BYU's on an upward trajectory. So I'd say about middle of the pack. I mean, it's tough with Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech. Those 3 programs in particular are very, very healthy right now. And then Houston obviously coming in as well.
Certainly. Loaded conference. So where does BYU, from a personnel standpoint, need to improve the most to compete with those middle to upper tier Big 12 teams?
Well, I think it will differentiate itself in how it plays offensively. And I think it'll be able to hang. Like, I think that it'll help recruiting to be able to play in that league. Really, I think the biggest shock to the system for BYU once it gets into the league is the level of defense that's played in this league, and the scouting is so good. So that'll be an adjustment. And you probably, maybe have to find a couple more athletes or The physicality is something that's going to be a lot different than what you're seeing in the WCC. But I think, like I said, I think Mark Pope's a really good coach. I think they're going to be able to figure it out.
This is an interesting question, and it probably changes depending on the school that is answering the question. Kansas probably being the biggest example of that. But when you look at the Big 12, is it considered a football conference or a basketball conference?
Well, you're asking someone who's a little biased because all I care about is basketball, and my college football knowledge is minimal. But I think right now the way the recent success trends pointing towards the basketball conference, like that's where it's had its most success. Now I think it's still a really, really good football conference, and but they're losing some big boys, some big brands in Texas and Oklahoma there. So to me, it's a basketball conference.
Well, you've got a strong case in the fact that the Big 12 has won back-to-back national championships in basketball. And the conference
might have won 3.
Yes.
If Kansas and Baylor are allowed to play in if there's a 2020 tournament, Kansas and Baylor were 2 of the 3 best teams in college basketball.
Exactly.
Year, so.
Yeah. So why not tack
3
on one more and make it 3 in a row? And you look at the football side, and the last Big 12 champion in football was 2005 in Texas when Vince Young was playing quarterback. So I mean, there's a real case there, but perhaps that's a conversation for another day. Back to BYU and getting into the Big 12. I just want to rewind to the moment you found out that the Cougars were bringing their basketball team to the conference. What was your reaction to BYU specifically being handed one of those invitations into the Big 12?
I liked it a lot. I mean, plays a fun style. I watch a lot of defense in the Big 12, right? It'd be nice to get a little offensive juice in there. I think it was a good addition. I think that, getting that mountain time zone area, maybe adding like Lost Colorado years ago. Like I said, I'm an old Big 8 guy, so I like spreading it out to that area of the country a little bit. So yeah, I think it was an all around good addition. I like the Cincinnati, I like the Houston, I like the BYU additions. Being a basketball bias guy again, Central Florida, but I think it's going to be a good basketball conference going forward.
CJ, we talk a lot about the transfer portal, and, obviously it affects more than just football and basketball, but those are the ones that we focus on the most. How has that changed college basketball, and do you see any chance that it slows down, or is it only ramping up?
It'll slow down because the one-time deal made it so there were so many that came in last year. And then the COVID rule as well, giving you guys extra year of eligibility. That's obviously going to be phased out here in a few years. So I think it'll slow down some. I still think it's going to they're still going to be a big part of what these schools do. You look in the Big 12, a school that's traditionally had pretty good freshmen, right? Last year in the Big 12, Iowa State's point guard and Baylor's 2 freshman wings were the only freshmen that were real impact players in the league.
Wow.
3 players in the whole league. And it's because schools like Texas Tech, Texas are going out and getting guys that can play right away. So if you're going to be recruiting a freshman these days, like he better be bought in on development or a guy that can play right away. If you've got a guy that's on the fence, like of whether he can play right away and he's not built into or bought into this long-term plan, then he's probably going to leave after a year. So that's the challenge these schools have right now, is trying to figure that out. I do think freshmen and recruiting freshmen and building through your program will still be a big part of what a lot of teams do. But, these teams, like high major teams, they're going to be living in that portal every year.
No, certainly. CJ Moore of The Athletic is on BYU Sports Nation, college basketball insider. You've covered games in all of these Big 12 venues, CJ. BYU fans are going to be very excited about making some road trips and seeing some of these basketball venues. So if you had to pick, let's say 2, what 2 road trips for basketball specifically would you tell BYU fans to make?
Allen Fieldhouse is obviously at the top. I don't think there's a better place to watch a college basketball game anywhere. And then the other one is probably Texas Tech. that building is charged. They have them and Outfield House have the best environment in college basketball in the Big 12 right now. And Texas Tech, they're up there in college basketball. Some other fun like Ames and Hilton is always in a great atmosphere. Baylor's about to get a new building. I'm sure that'll be cool. But yeah, I think Texas Tech and Kansas are the clear two right there. Maybe, Lubbock might not be the most exciting place to go otherwise, but man, they've got a nice arena and they fill it up.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever been to the Marriott Center in Provo, Utah?
I've not.
We got to get you.
Have you ever
here.
been to Utah?
I've never been to the state, so I'm excited.
Okay. Well, I'm interested to get your opinion once you cover a basketball game in Provo about where the Marriott Center stacks up against some of these Big 12 venues, because I think that's where BYU fans are kind of hoping that they can compete immediately with the Big 12 is just the environment, the atmosphere in Provo. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay. BYU fans obviously going to be interested in hearing more of your work or reading more of your work specifically. So where can they find that?
At The Athletic, and my Twitter handle is CJ Moore Hoops.
All right, simple enough. CJ, thanks for hanging out with us, giving us some insider's perspective into the Big 12, and we'll make our road travel plans right now.
Sounds good.
All right, CJ Moore of The Athletic, college basketball insider.